Hello and welcome to my channel, the Amenorrhea Fertility Diaries. In this episode, I'm going to be telling you a little experiment that I've done, or that I want to do, that it's 2 weeks of carnivore eating. So I know that sounds very weird to me. Of all the diets and things that I've tried and experimented with, this was the most, weird sounding for me. Just eating meat, it's something that I couldn't wrap my head around. But doing some research and reading and hearing more about it, hear there's apparently a lot of very intelligent, very healthy people that are really experiencing a lot of benefits from it. So please stay put. I will explain you why I am doing this because that's really important. And before jumping into that, I want to say a little disclaimer is that if you are experiencing hypothalamic amenorrhea, especially if you have some kind of eating disorder that is on the root of why you are missing your periods, then maybe this is not the best advice for you, because what you need to do now in that case is just eat everything until you recover your period. But if you are like me, that maybe you struggled with missing periods in the past, but now you've regained your cycle. I've had my cycle for more than a year, and you're trying out different ways of eating and of balancing and everything, your hormones, your society, and all that. Then, maybe you can learn something from this video. So it's just a very observational video. I'm just going to try this for 2 weeks and I'm going to see how I feel. I'm going to show you what I'm eating in a day, and in the end I will let you know what the pros and cons are of this diet for me. So let's jump into the motivation of why I'm doing this. So why I'm doing this? Well, my story, just briefly, I had hypothalamic amenorrhea, mostly due to over-exercising and also due to stress, because I had like a big accident and I had an operation, and I had been exercising a lot. I had a lot of psychological stress also in that time. I lost my period, and it's true that after the operation I was like suddenly doing very strict diets and reducing my calories a lot because I didn't want to gain weight and all that, and that probably also contributed to me losing my period. But I didn't have a period for like almost 2 years. Anyway, now I'm fully recovered, so I did the diet that I explain in other videos, which is a very balanced diet, eating everything. And after that, I've been experimenting with trying to get back to normality, whatever that means. And my problem was that after having recovered from amenorrhea, I've stayed into this mentality of eating everything, which is a good thing. But for me, and particularly for me, I've always been a very hungry person. So it's like it's very difficult for me to feel really full or really satiated by food. So I've always struggled with this, always since I was a little child. I would hide and steal food and stuff like that, which is a bit weird. And I've always wanted to, not get that under control, but to understand it and to see, is it really only emotional eating or is it really physical eating? So I've done a lot of work and a lot of also introspection and psychological work to see. And actually, psychologically, I think I found a little bit my triggers and all that, but there's also a very big physical aspect to it. So I'm a big person, I'm a tall person, taller than most women. And I move a lot and I exercise a lot. I'm also quite a perfectionist person, so I'm always trying to do my best at my job and to thrive in every aspect a lot. And if I don't do that, that causes me a lot of stress. So my type A personality also is the type that consumes a lot of extra calories. There's a ton of research proving that. So I think I'm just a big machine that needs a lot of fuel. And but still, I mean, I've always ate a lot, and lately, I was feeling really worse than any other time. I had been eating like quite a lot of carbs and just like whatever without really focusing on the diet and not really making it a point to hit my protein and all of that. And I felt like cravings all the time. I felt just always hungry. I've been training quite a lot. I've done a few new things that I'm incorporating to my training. So I don't know, it's just like eating a balanced diet works, but in a way there comes a point where I want to still restrict my calories a little bit because I want to have some kind of control. I was also starting to gain even more weight than the weight that I needed to have a healthy period. So I definitely didn't want that. I mean, has to be a stop somewhere. So some people have a very natural like hunger, fullness cues that they can follow, but that's not my case. If I start, for example, if I eat something sweet, it's like I could never stop eating it. So my main reason why I wanted to try this is that for the first time in my life, I want to live a life that is without cravings. I want to have the feeling of not having cravings all the time. So always when I've eaten a full meal, I want to have something sweet after it. And it's something that I've been trying to kill a few times already with, I don't know, doing all kinds of other strategies like having a walk after your meal, having a chewing gum. I mean, I'm famous at my work by eating chewing gum, but it just doesn't really go away. And also the thing that when you have one bite of, like, I don't know, a Snickers bar or whatever, which I never eat, but I mean, I just saw my colleague last time having one little tiny bite of the Snickers bar and then wrapping it again in the package and putting it away. I could never do that. I just wouldn't be able to. So I thought, like, why? Why is this? Why am I always hungry? This ravenous hunger in me that is really hunger. It's not emotional hunger. It's really hunger, you know? So I read a lot about the carnivore diet, and I was hearing about how people feel really satiated and how it's done wonders for a lot of people. So I thought, like, don't think, just give it a go. Just give it a try. So my main reason was that because I was feeling hungry and satiated, and that also affected my mental health. I actually, last weekend, I spent a weekend with my family. They live in a tiny village in the mountains, which is lovely, and of course, there's a lot of very nice food there, but there's also not that much variety. And I just realized how drawn people are to eating just little protein, especially animal protein. Maybe it's in my family, I don't know, because there's a lot of women that, a lot of, like, well, semi-vegetarian women also, and there's just like this vegetables mentality, which is great. I think vegetables are great, but in the end, if you don't prioritize eating animal products and which have the best type of protein, you end up eating a lot of carbs. And for them, it works because, I don't know, they're just like, they have a very small appetite or they're just more sedentary, whatever. But for me, it doesn't. So I ended up just eating carbs, and I had done a huge training before going. And I just remember that I think after weeks of, like, kind of trying to control my calories, not being able to do it, and I don't know, somehow under eating and also psychologically trying to control and all that, it exploded. And on Tuesday morning, when we have our team meeting at work, I was so hungry. I wanted to fast that day, and I kind of rebelled against it in a way. And I just ate like 2 huge pieces of a cake that my boss brought. And I felt terrible because after that I was only hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. And I had like just another like big sandwich that was there. I'm not a binge eater, but I had a little like binge eating episode. And after that, I just felt terrible. I still wasn't satiated. So finally, in the evening, when I came home, I had some like chicken that I made in the air fryer, and I ate that, and that was a blessing. I was just low in protein, and so I decided to give it a try. And I'm just going to go quickly through the 6 points that are really the ones that are motivating me. And then later I will show you what I've been eating in a given day during these 2 weeks. And in the end, I will wrap up by telling you what I think are the pros and cons of this very peculiar diet, but that has something to it. Reason number 1 why I'm doing this, I've already said it, is that I'm tired of being hungry all the time and of feeling these sweet carb-ish cravings all the time. I've tried to kill my cravings, my sweet tooth, but it never worked. And I think if I'm full, I'm satiated, I have my protein demands fulfilled, that it will be easier for me to stop it. I also think that the carnivore diet has something that makes it very unique because it's so easy and so, how would I say, it's so black and white. It's just, this is what you can eat and this is what you can't. There's no 50 shades of gray with other diets. Like, for example, keto has become so mainstream now, and there's like a ton of keto snacks and sweets that you can have and all that. And when you're in a weak moment on a Friday evening or whatever, and you're tired and you're craving that bit of sweet, you will just go and get it. And that is still like giving you that sweetness taste. I think you have to just like kill it by extinguishing it completely. So that's number 1, getting rid of cravings. Number 2 is to stabilize my energy and my mood. And I think that is really, really linked to my blood sugar level. So I think when I eat a lot of carbs, it just puts my blood sugar up and down. Maybe because I've been used to eating healthy and kind of low carb. And then after this amenorrhea journey, I've been introducing carbs a lot again, and then I kind of was like, well, whatever, I can just enjoy everything. So lately I had been like indulging in even like some really like sweets and stuff like that, cake that I wouldn't normally eat. So I want to stabilize my energy and don't feel those crashes all the time. Also, it's typically for me in the mid-afternoon, I really crash. And I'm in the office and I feel so desperate to just grab something sweet or go home that, I think with carnivore, I've heard from friends and from people that I've found online that they have very stable energy and mood also. Mood. That's so important. It has such a big effect what you eat on your mood, on the way you feel. The third big reason is that I want to stop obsessing by counting calories. Because even though I'm here saying that, oh, you shouldn't diet and all of that, lately I felt I was out of control. Because as I said, some people might have a very natural hunger and fullness cues, but I don't. I could just eat so much in a natural way. And that's also not good for me. I know that because then I'm never full and it's not really hunger anymore. And I don't know. So I was lately really like starting to track my calories and count, and in the end all these fit people that you see on the internet, or there's the one that do a very specific diet, or there's the ones that eat everything but they track their calories, like the typical bro guys, that are packed and going to the gym and they say that they can eat anything, but yeah, they're measuring, they're weighing their food and all of that. And I tried to do that for just a week. I've been doing a series of experiments, just everything, even though things that I don't think that are good on the long term, such as this. But I just wanted to give it a try because some things might work for you and some things might click in a way that it brings a cascade of other like secondary benefits that you wouldn't even have thought about. So this other experiment that I did of tracking the food and weighing and all that was a complete disaster. It just made me feel just never full, and it was not for me, not really, no. So I wanted to get rid of this calorie tracking thing. I don't want to be tracking my calories all the time, I just want to become a little bit more intuitive. And but if I eat all this rubbish, I mean, even if it's not rubbish, if it's just like even things like fruit and nature's carbs make me trigger my sweet tooth in me. So I don't know, I think might be my addictive personality or so. But I just want to get that all, sleeping dormant state and see what it brings. The reason number 5 is that I was very curious to try it. So I'm a very curious person, and sometimes I do things just for the sake of not being all the time guessing how would this be for me. So I just prefer to do it. Sake of experiment, just curiosity. And I also am very curious to try something, which was not really my main goal anymore, but I always was very curious about this when everybody was speaking about keto and about the state of ketosis, which is not really that much in fashion anymore, but it is a thing, you can be a fan of the keto diet or not, but it's true that it's a scientific fact that the state of ketosis is when your body stops burning glucose for fuel, which is what most of the people in the Western world are always burning glucose because we eat a lot of carbs and that's like the first source that your body will burn. But once it's gone through these glucose reserves, it will start burning fat for fuel. And this is the state of ketosis. It's the state you enter in when you fast. So I've experienced fasting and I've experienced this amazing feeling that you feel when you push through the first day of fasting, which is almost impossible. You think you're going to die, but then you manage to, I don't know how, just motivate yourself to go to bed without eating anything. And suddenly the next day, you promise yourself that the next day you will have the biggest breakfast of the world, but you wake up the next day and you are not hungry. The hunger is gone. Voila, completely out of it. You're not hungry, you're not full, you have energy, you're in a good mood, you feel light, you feel good. It's incredible. It's like, I don't know, it's like these movies where you have a pill and suddenly you can speak all the languages and you can fly and all that. Well, that kind of feeling I felt myself. Everybody talks about it. That is ketosis. What else? I mean, it's when you go into this fat burning mode. And that's what everybody was saying during keto diet. And so the only thing is I don't believe in the keto diet because it's just very difficult to adhere to it. And because you have so many options and you're, again, this measuring, I don't know, for some people it might work, but for me, I'm not going to carry a measure a scale with me and start measuring my things all the time. I need something that is very simple and that I just can't start manipulating with in my weak moments, which is what I start doing and what I started to do with keto, which in the end didn't become keto. It became just a normal diet with a lot of high fats. So why would you do that anyway, you know? So yeah, I'm curious to feel what it is to eat low carb and be in a state of ketosis. Those are my main reasons. I want to clarify, I've said it before, I say it again, I do not think that you should eat all the time carnivore. I've been watching people that told that they were carnivore for like 15 years, women, I don't know, we don't know because we don't have any long-term studies on this because nobody has been observed and there's no like randomized controlled studies on people eating carnivore their whole lives, not yet. It's a very new concept, but it's true that, I mean, I don't really go into this anthropological views of like, oh, what are we meant to eat as humans, as Homo sapiens? But if you look at animals and at like what we used to eat, you know, when we were evolving as humans and everything, I do think that we are definitely made for eating meat. And if you would only be able to eat one source of foods for the rest of your life, so one type of food, you wouldn't live as long with vegetables as with meat. I mean, and it's also true that meat has a lot of vitamins. It actually has everything you need. It's not optimal. I think you need the vegetables also, but it would be the one food that could make you live a much longer life than if you would with the other ones only. So apparently there's much more vitamin C in liver, for example, than in an orange. And I mean, this is all proven facts, you know. I'm not an expert on that, but I do believe it. And I do believe that it has been demonized a lot. And I also do believe that a lot of people nowadays, especially a little bit older women, I see that with my aunts, with my mother, with my grandmother, and all these women, they're like, oh, they're struggling a bit with gain weight because they just passed the menopause and so, and their strategy before was always to just control their calories a lot. And now they're a bit like, oh, I don't want to eat too much, but they're just snacking all the time. Carbs, you know, in the end, vegetables, but yeah, it's carbs. And they undereat protein, which is not good because then you lose muscle. So I do think there's something to it. And it's also, I'm really excited to feel how it is to eat the right amount or even a bit more than the recommended amount of protein, because I do struggle every day with doing that if I eat just normally. So those are my reasons. And now I'm going to be showing you like what I've been eating during this week. I'll show you a typical day of my carnivore diet, and I see you in a little bit. Good morning, guys. I just wanted to show you what my morning routine generally looks like, and this I'm not going to change during my carnivore experiment. So basically I do not eat breakfast right after waking up because I'm not really hungry in the morning, so I don't think you should eat when you're not hungry if you have a regular menstrual cycle like I do right now. So what I do and what I drink instead is just water, where I squeeze half a lemon in. I'm still doing this on the carnivore diet, even though it's technically not carnivore, but it really helps me with like digesting later on in the day. It helps me calm down any kind of digestive issues that I have, which I'm not experiencing doing the carnivore diet, so maybe it's not really necessary, but anyway, I think it's good for you. It also makes your body a little bit more alkaline, so it changes the acidity in your gut, and this can be very beneficial for some people like me that could tend to have some bloating and all of that. And I put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it also, and I also take my creatine then in the morning because it's normally before going to the gym or after going to the gym. And I'm trying out creatine. I read that it's really, really beneficial for building muscle, and even it can be quite helpful with a regulatory menstrual cycle because it connects with your leptin hormone, which is your satiety hormone. It's a very important hormone in general. And now I am still having coffee. I don't want to go through the coffee withdrawal thing, you know. Sometimes
soon I will do an experiment of no coffee, but I've been drinking it for so long. I think I have a healthy relationship with coffee. I only have 1-2 coffees a day, and it really makes me feel very well. So I don't think it's such a bad thing. I think it becomes bad when you're having too much coffee, of course, and I never would have it after afternoon, actually, because I know it will, it's still in your body, so somehow it may disrupt your sleep. What I'm doing differently is that I don't really like black coffee, so normally I have it with almond milk, which I really like, or coconut milk, but almond milk makes a nice foam like that. But now, because I'm doing the carnivore thing, I really don't want to have the nuts, and almond milk still has quite some carbs, not as many as oat milk, which I do really not recommend. But in this case, instead of milk, I don't really like the taste of milk anymore. I am having goat milk. So it's a bit something new for me. I have to try it. I think it might be a bit too strong in taste. So maybe I will try to switch to my coffees in a black way. But as I said, I'm not doing a very strict version of the carnivore diet, but I did change my almond milk for another animal product. So I'm still gonna have coffee, 1 a day, maybe 2, and I'm still gonna have black tea. I'm still gonna have my lemon water, and I'm still gonna use pepper, salt, and maybe some spices that I normally use, such as herbes de Provence or cayenne pepper to salt my meat. Who knows, maybe I become a more sober carnivore in the future, but for now this is a good start. And then as I said, I will keep fasting until noon, which is normally when I really am naturally getting hungry. I do my morning training in a fasted way. It's not a very heavy training, so I'm very used to it. I prefer to be fasted also just because I'm not digesting, and this I feel it's just much better. It's better for my energy, my digestion, and everything. So that's my morning routine. Hello, so here I am at the gym doing my little morning exercise. So I always do some weight training. I do some body weight training, and I generally focus on my abdomen and back, or legs and glutes, or arms. So today is abdominals. So just wanted to give you a little overview of what I do in a day. I do that always in the morning, not too long, like depending on my time. Maximum would be like 55 minutes, but generally it's more like 40-45 minutes, including the post-training stretch. And I always start with 10 minutes of cardio on the elliptic machine. So that's my schedule. I'm loving about the carnivore diet that I'm feeling so unbloated and so not hungry in the mornings, which I never am really, but when I realize the more carbs I eat in the evening, the more I want to eat in the morning. So that's really, really nice, and I'm feeling quite strong. I'm being able to push my training well. I think that's the benefit of having enough protein. So for now, I'm really loving it. Hi guys, good morning. Well, as I said, I want to try out this carnivore experiment, and the main reason for me is that I was lately always feeling hungry and with a lot of cravings. So I realized that if you don't really have a plan and you just eat and go with the flow, in my case, we tend towards eating a lot of carbohydrates. So I was just spending the weekend at my family's place, you know, in a little village in the mountains, and I didn't want to be a bore with complicated diets or whatever, which I don't really do, but you know, I just decided to go along. There's not that much choice either, and I just ended up eating carbs all the time and feeling never satiated. And personally, I mean, as I said, I recovered my menstrual cycle. I think when you're in HA, you need to eat a very balanced diet, also including carbs, but we should not forget about protein. It's so easy to undereat protein, and most people, especially women, just tend towards eating too little protein, and I don't think how people survive it. I feel terrible. So this really exploded in like last time. You know, when I do that, I eat mostly carbs. I don't focus on the protein first. Somehow I end up always fatigued and with cravings, never satiated. I'm bloated, so I feel bad, and then I start like with this diet mentality of restricting foods, which is again not good for my cycle. I know that. So chronic undereating is really not the way that I should go, and it just, in this case, it became a whole cascade of problems, and I was really experiencing what a big effect the types of food that you eat can have on how you feel. I was feeling depressed, I was angry, I was feeling shivery, even dizzy, very weird. Honestly, I thought maybe I'm missing some kind of mineral or something, but no, I just realized it was because I wasn't eating enough protein, and yeah, it just had a big effect on me. So somehow I'm very excited about this carnivore experiment. I think it will be very good in finally experiencing the full satiety, because there's more and more studies pointing out that meat is so, not meat, but just protein in general, it's so important for you. And meat has most of this protein, has a lot of vitamins as well. So yeah, as I said, I'm gonna do like a milder version of carnivore. So I'm gonna eat eggs, I'm gonna eat fish, I'm gonna eat basically animal products, a little bit of cheese. You shouldn't overdo it with the dairy, I think. But anyhow, I'm very excited. I'm feeling good. I'm gonna fast until noon more or less, which I always do because I'm really not hungry in the morning, so I don't think I need to push myself to do that. And I'll report back later at lunchtime. So here I am eating my first meal of the day. It's about 1 p.m. It's an omelette with bacon that I could order, and you have salt and sparkling water, of course. So that was my lunch. It was really nice, and I just realized one of the things that I'm loving about the carnivore diet already is the simplicity of it, and I think that's the key why it really works very well. So for me, when I'm eating kind of everything, there comes a moment where I'm just like confronted by too much choice, you know, so I'm in tune with what I feel that I need, but it's more about, oh yeah, let's try this and that. And it's also a lot of thinking, a lot of planning. I mean, I love to cook, you know, and I love to create complicated recipes, but at this stage, I'm really loving the simplicity of this. There's not too much thinking behind it. So I just went to a very typical Spanish bar, which I would normally avoid because they wouldn't have so many options that I would like, but in this case I asked them to just make me a French omelette with some bacon, and that's it, and they always will manage to do that anywhere, so it's really nice. It's also really cheap, I must say, so it has a lot of secondary advantages that I am enjoying right now. And also, normally I would always have a sweet tooth after my food, and I would want to have something sweet and not feel satiated. But now, because I'm so, I don't know if it's mental, but I'm so focused on just eating this, and also because it's quite filling food, no, eggs and meat and all that, I didn't even think about it. So I think it's gonna be very, very nice for me to transition and to try to get rid of those sweet cravings that I was having, which is the main reason, and also to get rid of that constant hunger that I was having, which are the two main reasons that I am doing it. So my plan is to go carnivore for 2 weeks, just to transition, and then maybe to introduce some of the low inflammatory vegetables again in the diet, and just to reset everything and start to appreciate more these things on special occasions, such as something sweet, and not taking it for granted and wanting it all the time. So I'm doing a little post-meal walking here because I had quite a lot of time actually, because I ate quite quickly because I'm eating smaller quantities. So this is another thing, it's freeing me a lot of time of thinking about food, cooking, all of that, and then I'm filling that time with walks, lovely walks, so that's again even better for my health. So I think it has a lot of, carnivore diet triggers a lot of secondary effects that can be good, and I can't say it enough times, I love the simplicity of it. The simplicity of it makes it really like easy to stick. Maybe it's a mind thing, and also the fact that you're always full and satiated, it really helps, and that's for me a blessing now, because as I was saying, I was really suffering a bit from that chronic kind of undereating thing, and of never being full completely. So this is really really nice. I mean, there's a lot of studies proving that the more choice you have, the more choices of foods you have, the more you will eat. That's why typically when we go to a buffet, when we're on holidays, like the hotel breakfast buffet, you will eat these huge amounts of food, which is nice occasionally, you know, but I'm liking this as an experiment. I'm not saying you should eat carnivore forever, but I think the people that really succeed, for example, on other types of diets such as keto, and so is because they keep it really, really simple. So they just eat the same kind of foods all the time, and then occasionally they go to a restaurant and they have a more festive meal. But in my case, I because I like the cooking thing, and I'm a little bit of a gourmet person, I will always try to make it better, and then I end up adding a lot of extra ingredients to it. So yeah, it's also really, really nice to be able to eat until I am full. So I have given myself permission to just eat as much as I want, but just from the foods that I can to change. And I normally have a different approach. It's more like I kind of eat whatever I want, but I try to not eat too much of it, or compensate it with some fasting and all of that. So yeah, it's nice. It's really a different approach, and that leads me to the next point: exercise. I was training a lot. I love training. I'm a little bit addicted to exercise. I do it every day, but now I took a rest day, and it's really felt very good. And I plan that if I'm doing this carnivore experiment, I'm gonna try to give myself a bit more rest in that sense. So like maybe taking 2-3 rest days a week, and just training harder the days that I am training. So that's I think that will be a good thing, and my bones and my joints and my body in general will be very grateful for that. My God, look at that. That's the real carnivore juice. Just a steak. I asked for a little bit of fatty cut because it's super good to have the natural fats, and I'm really looking forward to this. So this is going to be my dinner. It's 280 grams of steak with a ton of salt, baked in a tiny little bit of butter, and I put some blue cheese on top of it because I'm still enjoying my cheese transition phase. But as I said, next week I'm going to try to lower the dairy intake a lot. But I'm really looking forward to this. It looks really yummy. Normally I would think, oh my God, that's too much meat, I need some greens next to it, but I'm really just going to enjoy it. And here is my dessert. Just wanted to show you. Hello, so today I'm doing my fish board day, and this is what I'm going to eat, which is sort of salmon type that I found in the supermarket, and this sardines. Sardines have a lot of great things for you. So yeah, I was craving something different than meat this time, and I'm gonna do the salmon in the air fryer, which I haven't tried before, but I think it would be great for it. And the sardines I'm just gonna bake like that with a tiny bit of butter as always. So see you later. And that brings me to the last bit of my video. So just to recap, what have I done? I've done 2 full weeks of carnivore eating in the mild version of the carnivore diet. So what have I eaten? I've eaten meat, I've eaten meat organs, specifically liver. I've eaten all kinds of fish. I've eaten eggs, and also forms of meat such as charcuterie and ham, bacon, and all of that. I've eaten dairy, and I've cooked with some butter in moderation. The second half of my carnivore experiment, I've tried to reduce dairy as much as possible, but I've kept on using it here and there. And some non-carnivore foods that I have kept on consuming were coffee, tea. I've still had some apple cider vinegar in my morning water, like I always do, with some squeezed lemon because it helps me with digestion. I've used spices and herbs to season my meats, and I've used salt, quite a lot of salt to be honest, but this is something that a lot of people recommend. I have quite low blood pressure, and I don't eat, well, definitely when you're eating carnivore, you're not eating any processed food, so I'm not afraid of using some extra salt. I've also kept on using my supplements, which are not many, but my vitamins, some fish oil capsules, and my creatine I've kept on doing. I haven't done my protein powder because I'm really eating a lot of protein. I've been really eating a lot of protein during these 2 weeks, so I didn't really need to add to that. And actually my daily schedule looks a little bit like this. It was quite regular, mostly. So I would wake up, fast till noon, and have a coffee before that with some milk. At noon or 1 p.m. more or less, I would have a 3-egg omelette with some bacon, ham, or some cheese sometimes. And after that I would just continue my work, my daily schedule. I would have in the mid-afternoon around 4 p.m. a little snack
which would consist in some cheese and cured ham generally. And then around 7 p.m. I would have my dinner, which has been air fried chicken thighs, chicken wings. I've had steak many times. I've had lamb, which was delicious. I've had fish. I've had like salmon and sardines and other types of fish, and I've had liver, which I really liked. All that, of course, without anything else, only the seasoning. And after that, I am a little bit of a dessert person, so I always had my dessert, which wasn't anything sweet, of course, but it was generally some yogurt, some cheese, some kefir, or some other kind of dairy. And that's it. Well, that's what I've done. My training schedule has been similar as normal, but I have actually taken away 2 days of training, and I've taken them as rest days because I normally train every day in the morning. I do some strength training, but because I was feeling so good with the carnivore diet and I was feeling like I could give myself a little bit more rest, then, and I didn't have the compulsion of trying to compensate for the overconsumed calories because I was really like consuming a very nice amount of calories as planned, then I could have 2 more rest days that I've used to do some longer walks than what I generally do. So let's jump straight to the observations and conclusions that I've taken out of this experiment, and some of the advantages and maybe a few of the potential disadvantages. So first of all, the biggest advantage and also the reason why I was doing it has completely been fulfilled. It was amazing. I have felt satiety all the time. So that is great. This sensation of really not lacking any other kind of nutrient, of being satiated. Of course, at some points I was a bit hungry or I had a little bit of cravings in the first few days, but it wasn't the same as when I was consuming more carbohydrates. And so I said that I was feeling really hungry lately. I was training a lot and I was like overeating and trying to compensate with training or with fasting, but then I would kind of go back into this almost little binge eating episodes, and I completely didn't have that. So that was amazing. This means like there was, I mean, with meat, it's super nice because it took away the focus on trying to count so many calories, on trying to measure everything, and I could finally just eat until I was feeling full. There's almost no risk of overeating when you're eating a meat-based or an animal product-based diet. Protein is the most fulfilling macronutrient, so there's a lot of studies proving this, and it was really nice to experience that. In the same aspect of this, I could feel that it had not really a bad effect on my hormones. Of course, I haven't done it long enough to see if it would disturb my hormones, but I haven't had any delays with my period, anything like that. I haven't seen anything weird. It came as usual. I didn't have any strong PMS symptoms or anything like that either. And also, because I was feeling very full, very satiated, also quite serene, calm, happy because of this, and with a lot of energy, without any crashes, without any cravings. I think this also speaks for the hormonal system and speaks for the leptin hormone that was really being secreted in a good way in me. So I'm sure that my hormonal panel was doing good. But as I said, I would have to do an analysis for that and do it for a more prolonged time. And psychologically, within this first big advantage, I also experienced, so this satiety sensations translated itself in me in this kind of calmness, serenity feeling, happiness, very good mood, very stable mood. Also as an effect of finally being able to stick to my plan, for meals and not having to eat a lot more that wasn't really planned. And like, well, you shouldn't feel bad about it, but at least it does have a repercussion, and I see that a lot of people are not happy with how they're eating, which was my case also, because they eat a bit more and because they're actually always slave to these cravings for sweets, cravings for carbs, and when this is completely gone, you're completely in peace and in alignment with yourself. So psychologically, it had a huge effect as well. So this has been amazing, really. So I also really like the simplicity of it. It's such a simple diet. It's so straightforward. It's so clear what you can and cannot eat. So this takes away the mind of like trying to think about food, plan about food, go shopping, I don't know, buy all these things that when you go to the supermarket, you have a list and you want to buy this and this and this, but then you're confronted with many other things that are in discount or that are there, and you think you have to do something with it. With carnivore diet, it's really straightforward. You just go to the meat section, bam, you buy what you want, you go. You're not so interested anymore in going to restaurants. You're not all the time a slave to these cravings that deviate you from the path that you wanted to choose, because it's just very simple. Also, your cooking time goes down because you don't have to be cutting vegetables, boiling water, and all. You just season your meat and you bake it or you make it whatever way you want. Air fryer. It's really, really simple. This simplicity has the other effect that it frees a lot of time for you. So after my lunches at work, for example, because I would eat it really quickly, I would just go for a big walk before my 1 hour break would finish. So this has again another thing, and also it liberates a lot of time psychologically, because you're not all the time stressing and obsessing about food. So instead of listening to many self-help videos that are trying to help me find ways of eating less calories and this and that, which I was getting a little bit into the rabbit hole of, I could use this time to think about other things that I find interesting, because this food aspect of my life has been calm and resolved already. I've also felt better at home, in my relationship with my colleagues, everything. So all this is really related with each other. But I wanted to say a third advantage is related to the first one, but it was really nice to feel the stable blood sugars and the benefits of ketosis, which wasn't my goal, but of course you're eating almost zero carbs in a carnivore diet, so of course you get into this state of ketosis that people were talking about a lot a few years ago with the keto diet trend. And it is a scientific thing. You start burning fat for fuel and you experience a lot of mental clarity, a lot of energy. It's not such I don't really experience a lot of energy like you do sometimes with fasting, but I did have a very stable, calm thing around me, no crashing, and I really, really realized and felt how much effect it has what you eat on your body. And personally, to me, because I don't have diabetes or anything, I have quite a healthy pancreas that secretes insulin when it's necessary. So when I would eat cake or any other type of carbs, I wouldn't feel bad or bloated, but I would feel bad emotionally. It really affected my psychology. So in this sense, psychologically, it's incredible the benefits that I've had with the carnivore diet. I felt happy, calm, great, stable, and this freed a lot of time to focus on the things that I want to work on in life that I sometimes don't get to because I am struggling with these crashes and this motivation that goes up and down. So I could finally work on my goals. I had super productive 2 weeks at the office. Other goals that I have personally, all of that I could do. So it was really nice to really finally lead the life that I actually wanted to have. So it's both time, focus, and energy that you win. Fourth aspect or fifth aspect is that you save a lot of money, so that's a little advantage. At least I did. People think that meat is more expensive than carbs and other things, and technically it is, but because you're just buying, how could I say, just buying what you're going to eat, you don't overeat, and it's what you plan, and that is what you eat, and that's it. You're not adding all these other extra things. So my situation was generally that I planned to eat a certain meal, but then because it wouldn't satiate me, then I would go and grab more things. So in the way, you're again slave to those cravings which deviate you from your path, and you end up overeating other things. Also, in a restaurant, for example, it's typical. You think, oh, let's go to this restaurant, but let's keep it simple. No wines, no breads, just the main course and maybe no dessert. That's always the plan, or often it's the plan. Then you get there, but then you get these cravings, you're confronted with these things, and you end up eating everything, and it ends up being a huge bill. So in that sense, it saved money, time, and a lot of headaches, to be honest. Also, you're not really excited that much to go to restaurants. I love restaurants. I'm not going to do this forever, but it's true that sometimes we tended to go a little bit more lately, and it was our way of relaxing and of gaining some. Yeah, actually, it's just like a dopamine hit, of food. Really is a dopamine hitter in a way. And it's also really nice to enjoy your home cooking. You become an excellent cook of meat when you're on the carnivore diet, because that's what you have. And there's no steak that tastes better than the one you make at home in the end, because how are you going to get that kind of quality in a restaurant? you would maybe, but it would cost you so much money and so, and the way it's cooked and everything. So yeah, that was a nice side effect as well. Another big one is what they call the carnivore glow. So it's really, really good for your skin, for your nails, and for your hair. I mean, I've always had big hair like that. I'm not sure if I've noticed a difference, but I did feel that it doesn't fall off that much. I mean, I always I have a lot, so it also falls a lot. And sometimes when I brush, I see like a lot of hair on my brush, and I have the feeling it was less, but I guess maybe could be something else or so. I guess I didn't do it enough long enough to have those kind of effects. But I did experience, which is really funny, 2 episodes where they confirmed that the skin thing is a true thing. So I was at work at the end of these 2 weeks, and everybody said separately from themselves that I had a very special glow, that I looked really good, that I think maybe it's also because of the water retention that my skin, my face got a little bit more defined and so, and that generally looks good on you. But it was also something about the skin. And then one of my best friends, she always was struggling with pimples and with acne, and she's like the most healthy person in the world, but really plant-based. I mean, not vegan, but she was quite plant-based. And she told me, I didn't say anything about it, but she told me that she went to see a doctor, and she had advised her, well, she went to see many doctors, but finally she found one that gave her an advice that worked. And her advice was that she needed to eat more animal protein. So she was incorporating more meats and fishes into her diet. And I've known her for years, and she always struggled with these pimples. She tried to eliminate everything she tried. And finally now I saw her, and she had completely clear skin. She looked amazing, and it was thanks to this. So there's a lot of very good things that happen to you when you eat animal products, which is what we actually mostly are meant to eat. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat vegetables, but I think we're mostly carnivore. We're omnivore, but I think, as I said, if you have to choose one type of food for the rest of your life that you could survive the longest on, it would be animal products, meat, fish, especially, because there's nothing that has the same kind of protein quality in it. You can't get your protein needs fulfilled by eating a bunch of beans or veggies or quinoa without having all the side effects and bad effects of eating too many carbs. So another one is that they say that many people report that they get better with their allergy symptoms. I didn't really have allergies, but it's true that I had like a little bit of a thing in my ear. I couldn't describe it very well, but it was like a light sensation in there, and I even went to see a doctor, and he couldn't see anything real. She gave me some plant-based medicines and so on, and that's completely gone. It could be the plant-based medicines, but it could also be the carnivore thing, who knows? And it could also have been related to some kind of allergy, which apparently other people experience. But anyway, I'm not sure, but I hear that a lot. And what I have felt, though, is that I feel really good, like my bones and my joints. I always have a little bit of pain on my hamstrings, and often when I train it's my knees, and now I don't have it that much, but it could also be that I took these days rest extra. But anyway, that was also thanks to the carnivore diet. So finally, almost finally, I want to say point number 10 is that I wasn't looking for this, really. I was looking just to try the experiment, but I weighed myself this morning, and I lost 3 kilograms. I can't believe it. It's impossible. I lost 3 kilograms in only 2 weeks. But probably it's a lot of water also, but still it's encouraging to see the scale going down like that. So I'm sure if I would keep it, I mean, if I could give you an advice for weight loss, which is not what this channel was about, but carnivore diet would work. It's the only thing that worked for me, actually. And that leads me to step number 11, which is a little bit of a recap. Well, other than that, I slept like a baby. I was really, really in touch with my circadian rhythm. And it's funny, I would wake up like before my alarm went, and I would really feel like nice and tired in the night, because lately I had been going to bed. I was always a good sleeper, but in the last years, every night I would think like, oh, I think I'm not going to be able to sleep. And I was like quite awake still in my head, but now I was really like, it's nice to feel this tiredness also, and just go to bed and hit the bed and sleep, which is not really common for me. And I've heard that also from other people. I think it's probably this, it's something about your blood sugars being stable and not being burning carbs and all that. So, I mean, a lot of sicknesses also, they feed on sugar. So this very low sugar diet, it has some good things. As I said, I'm not sure if it's for forever, but it's really nice to experience this at least. We spent most of our lives burning sugar, so I think it's good to also use this fat burning system every now and then, which is what a lot of people do, is to cycle back and forth into this. And well, finally, I just wanted to wrap up saying that I have tried a lot of diets in the past when I was trying to lose weight, control my calorie intake and all that. And I think I do believe everyone is different. There's some people that have a very natural hunger, fullness cue, so they can be more intuitive, which is what I would like to learn to do more. And now with the carnivore diet, I finally could do that. Actually, I could really eat until I'm full, stop, eat again when I was hungry. It was really, that gave me a lot of calmness and serenity. It's the only type of plan that I've proposed to myself to do, and that there was not a single moment where I doubted that I would adhere to it, that I would keep it. I even went to a restaurant with my mother and my boyfriend, and I just had a steak and that's it. And because I was feeling so good, I didn't want to break this feeling good. And for me, that's really, I mean, I decide a lot of things. I have a lot of plans, but I generally also like really quickly break that because I'm not very disciplined, and I'm really, like my cravings are always winning me, which brings me a little bit into a less good mood. And now I really could experience that. So that was really, really, really nice. Honestly, it was amazing. And finally, maybe just point out some things that I experienced that could be like disadvantages, although the advantages weigh like much over the disadvantages in this case. But one is that I did experience some adaptation symptoms. So the first 3 days I didn't have like all these things that people say, like headaches and dizziness and heart palpitations and hair loss and I don't know what, insomnia, nothing, all the contrary. But I did feel some sugar cravings the first 3 days, especially at night, which is when I'm generally more peckish, I'm more hungry, you know, like sometimes like late in the night, I think like, oh, let's quickly go to bed before I start planning all these things that I want to eat, you know. But then I had actually some strong carb cravings when I was adapting. I think that is the carbs withdrawal symptoms. And also when you deplete your glycogen stores and you start going into this fat adaptation mode and fat burning mode, then it's really normal that you experience some of these cravings. And the only way out of them is through. So this also made me realize how real sugar addiction is and how I had such a sweet tooth, and I never really did the job of like killing it by not giving it what it wanted. So I always found a way of, let's have this little, even though it's like a keto treat or whatever treat, or, you know, I always found a way to satisfy it. And I think both physically and mentally, it was good to just say, bam, no, and see that you're not going to die if you don't have it. So it was really nice in that sense, but I did experience those cravings. I also had a little bit of like, I felt just like 1 or 2 days in the beginning a bit weak at the gym. Like I thought, yes, I am with energy, but then I would do my training, and before normal, I would feel a bit like, oof, this was enough. So I guess that's also from this adaptation. It went away after 3 days. And finally, the last thing that I would say is that I do miss my vegetables. I mean, I love vegetables. I love avocados. I love all greens, vegetables, broccoli, and all of that. So, and I don't really agree with the carnivore freaks like theory that vegetables have this kind of poison, no, to try to defend from themselves from insects or animals that would eat them, and that this poison is poisoning us. So they really think vegetables are unhealthy. I don't think that. I think carnivore diet works really well because it's really easy and it's easy to adhere to, and that's when people finally manage to long enough be without all the other bad things such as refined carbs and even things as grains and maybe sugars even from fruit and all of that. I think those can have some bad effects on other people, but I think green vegetables are still something that I want to keep eating. So my next experiment is going to be something I'm going to try to do 2 weeks of this carnivore based eating. So eating the same quantities of meat and not being afraid of eating these quantities of meat, which has been very important for me to realize that it really makes you feel really good. So making it an animal products based diet with enough protein, but also instead of the dairy, I would want to replace that with some few vegetables that I'm going to choose very easily, like the non-inflammatory vegetables, the vegetables that are not really hard on your blood sugar levels with low carbs. That is avocados, olives, all green, leafy greens like spinach and all that, and also zucchini and also some broccoli and stuff like that. So this is going to be my next trial. And then after that, I'm going on a holiday. We're going to New York, and there I'm just going to eat whatever I want, pizza, pasta, bagels, and everything, because life is also to be enjoyed, and I don't think you should be in a diet always. But anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. Leave me your comments down below. Give me a like, subscribe, and until next time, my friends.